What's happening, guys, and welcome back to the channel. First things first, make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe if you're new. After the disappointment of the 0-0 draw with Scotland, England head into their final group game against the Czech Republic at Wembley on Tuesday night, knowing that a win will see them finish top of the group, but a draw will see them finish runners-up on goal difference. I've obviously spoken about my thoughts on the Scotland game, so we're going to park that for there for now in this video. And looking forward to the game against the Czech Republic. This is a side that we beat 5-0 at Wembley in the qualifying and then lost the reverse fixture away from home. It's not been a great start to the Euros for England. Obviously, the win against Croatia was good to get the points, but the performance wasn't convincing, particularly against a Croatian side that offers absolutely nothing. The Scotland game, as we all know, was poor. So personally, I would like to see some changes heading into this game. It's going to be another physical battle with the likes of Souček in the midfield. Soufal at right back is a good player, and they've got some decent players. Patrick Schick up front as well. The Leipzig forward has been looking dangerous. So it's not going to be an easy game actually. But for an England perspective, lineup wise, the big talk was whether Harry Maguire would come back in for the Scotland game. He didn't. Defensively, we've been pretty solid, I have to say. You know, I haven't conceded a goal yet in the two group games. So I would be tempted to keep that centre-half pairing of Mings and Stones the same, just not to disrupt the consistency. The fullbacks, I mean, I don't think Reece James had an amazing game. It wasn't poor. So a toss-up between him and Kyle Walker, really. I'd probably stick with James. And then at a left-back position, whether he sticks with Shaw or he goes for a third different left-back in 3 games of Chilwell, we'll have to wait and see. The big point for me is where I'd like to see the difference is in the midfield. We need to scrap going with 2 holding midfielders. I've said my piece on it before. It's too negative. It's too defensive. Against teams that we should be beating, we don't need to be setting up with 2 holding midfielders. So in the midfield, for me, I would like to see Declan Rice holding. Then I'd like to see Jude Bellingham alongside him, or I'd probably prefer to see Mason Mount and Phil Foden ahead of him, playing in sort of 2 number 8 more attacking positions with Jack Grealish one side, Jadon Sancho the other side, and Harry Kane through the middle. I expect we won't see that. I'd be very surprised to see that. Southgate seems to have his favourites, and no matter what they do, they'll always play, which is really frustrating as a fan, because you want to see the players that are exciting, that, you know, they're playing well and they're in form for their clubs. But it remains to be seen. But we do need to put a performance in, and it's a difficult one to go, because as a fan, obviously, if we win the group, which we always want England to win the group, you know, you want us to win this game against the Czechs. But if we were to win the group, we're going to sort of end up facing France, the runners-up of the France, Portugal, Germany group, and you'd probably expect us to be dumped out in the last 16. Whereas if we finish runners-up with, say, a draw, then, you know, we get a slightly more favourable draw in the next round, facing the winners of the Spain, Sweden, Poland, Slovakia group. But you could look at it, are we just going to sort of prolong the inevitable? Who knows? But yeah, I would like to see those changes. I just think it needs to be switched up. Southgate doesn't seem to really want to switch things up, particularly in game with the system. I'm not sure the 4-2-3-1 has worked that well. I'd perhaps maybe like to see us go to the 4-3-3. And my reasoning for Sancho and Grealish is they create a lot of chances. And that's something which I can't quite fathom, how we've got so many creative players, so many talented footballers on the pitch, yet we seem to be creating absolutely nothing. And I just can't really make any sense of it. And then Harry Kane, obviously, there's been a lot of criticism at his performances. I've criticised his performances. But you've also got to say that if the service and the chances aren't there for being created for him, then it's quite hard for him to sort of magic something out of thin air. So as a team, we've got to play much, much better. I think Southgate needs to be more offensive, needs to be more on the front foot, and needs to sort of take games by the scruff of the neck a bit more. Because when we face those better sides, we're going to have to go for it, you know, not just sit back and hope we can nick something on the counter. We're going to have to take the most of our chances and be clinical. But it remains to be seen. But I'm expecting against the Czechs, it should be sort of fairly straightforward. But I mean, I said that against Scotland, and look how that turned out. So I probably expect an England win. Not going to be a particularly high scoring game. The Czechs haven't scored a lot of goals. We don't seem to be scoring a lot of goals. So I mean, again, I'll probably go with a 1-0 win to England, and we'll have to see where we finish up in the group. We've got to approach it with the mindset that we want to win the game. There's no point going into it thinking, oh, if we come second, we'll get like a bit of an easier draw. You can't approach a football match like that. You've got to approach it full focus on the job at hand, get the job done, win, and then whatever happens in the next round happens in the next round. You know, you've got to beat the best teams anyway, so why not beat them at the last 16, you know? But yeah, that's just my thoughts on the Czech Republic game and what I think Gareth Southgate should do. I fully expect him not to do that. But yeah, let's roll on Tuesday night, England versus the Czech Republic, to see who finishes top of that group and who we end up facing in the last 16. But those are just my thoughts. As always, leave yours in the comments below. And as I said at the start of the video, make sure you smash a like on this one and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll catch you in the next video.